Hello, you are listening to Nate's Notes. This is our normal Tuesday episode of Nate's Notes, and I'm Nate, and I have notes. And with me, as always, is Griffin Schuler. How are you doing today, Griffin?
I feel unprepared because I don't have notes.
Wow, it is Nate's Notes, so you don't have to.
Can I see your notes?
No, there's a no cheating policy here on Nate's Notes, so I'm sorry.
Alright, I guess I'll wing it.
Alright, Griffin has wings. We're about to fly. So, for those of you who have never listened to Nate's Notes, on our Tuesday episode, which is our main episode, we cover a variety of topics, ranging from the NBA, NFL, pop culture, sometimes we talk about baseball. We cover a little bit of everything. And then on Thursdays, we have a deep dive into a particular topic. This week, we brought in a special guest for the Olympics. So this Thursday, pay attention to that. It'll pop up on your feed on Thursday. And then last week, we talked about our top 10 pump-up songs. And so, as of recording this on Saturday night, I'm currently one vote ahead for the best pump-up playlist. Griffin is currently going to fact-check me in real time. We'll see if I'm still right.
I'll provide an update once I have one.
But if you want to check that out, go ahead and like us on Facebook at Nate's Notes. We're also on Instagram and Twitter. Just look for Notes Nates, and you can find us there. And we appreciate everyone who's liked us so far. We have finally hit over 100 likes. We're at 103, I believe, right now. Last week we mentioned we were too short. We got those two and more. So thank you so much for joining us. We're posting fun content on there, fun graphics. There's a video of me dancing this week, so if you want to see what I look like when I dance, go ahead and check that out on our Facebook page.
It's quite a spectacle.
So have you found the...
Yep, so right now we're at 40 votes, and you have 21, and I have 19 of them.
Ooh, I pulled ahead by 2.
Yep, you seem to have gotten a little bit more of a lead. So I'm going to have to beg my followers and my fans to vote for my playlist and make it a little bit closer.
We did make a giant playlist on Spotify as well, and it is a collaborative playlist. So if you want to add your own pop-up songs to it, you're more than welcome to. We have that link on our Facebook page as well. All right, so we're going to get started on this week's episode, and we're going to talk about baseball first. Now, if you listen to the show the past 3 weeks, we have started with NBA first, and we kind of do a pretty deep dive on NBA. We're going to save that for last this week, because there is still a lot of...
Throw you a little curveball.
There's a baseball term for you there. See if you can hit it out of the park. There's a lot of basketball news going on right now, so we'll try to save it for the end. We do want to note that we are recording this on Saturday, the day before free agency. So it wasn't the best timing in the world, but because of our schedules, this is when we could record. But, so some of it will sound outdated. We're like, oh, this player's going to go here.
Right, lots of speculation at this point in time.
They'll probably have gone somewhere else by the time. We'll try to be as accurate as possible. But just know when they're like, no, that player's going to go there.
What are they talking about?
Do they even watch basketball? Just note that off the bat. All right, so we're going to talk Major League Baseball.
Loving the baseball puns.
Yeah, that was like... Unintentional, yeah. Unintentional walk there. So next... So we're talking about baseball here. And right now they are doing all-star voting. And they kind of did it a little differently this year. So they kind of did like this pre-rollout for voting. Then the 3 players with the most votes in each position were put into another voting category. And then that's how they selected starters. Before we talk about who was named starters, what do you think of this process?
I just, like, growing up as a kid, going to the stadiums, I loved being able to, like, go in and tell me if you've had the same experience, like, going to the baseball parks as a kid around the voting time.
Yeah.
Where they've got, like, the stands of all the ballots. Where you poke the little holes out with the whatever key you had. Like, you'd have to ask your parents for the key to poke the holes out.
Yeah, I remember
players that you'd vote for. And just something about that. It's probably just that old tale of, like, that's the way I grew up with it, so that's the way I like it.
So it's perfect. Don't fix it. Yeah.
So, like, that's how I prefer it. I think... You know, and the way they do that is you just vote for, I believe, 1 person in each position and then 3 outfielders. And one designated hitter, and so on. That's how I prefer it. I don't know if it's...
I don't know if it's necessarily better, worse. The whole all-star voting just seems broken. every league, it seems like, is trying to redefine what All-Star weekend or week looks like for them.
Yeah, and I think also that, most people just vote, for their, team's players. They don't really vote for other people.
Doing the best necessarily.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get, okay, this guy's had a really hot season. He should definitely be here. But we can talk about this later, but someone like Mike Trout, although he's having a terrific season, he got the most votes out of anyone, and I think it's because of name recognition first, before his playing value necessarily. And so I think that's interesting as well when we're choosing starters. It's not necessarily the best. I don't know.
I mean, his batting average is below 300, and he's not having a Mike Trout year. When he's not performing at his best, he's still playing better than most of the people in the game.
Yeah.
But I think just because of other years he's had, this seems like more lackluster. But he still's got 22 home runs, which is a lot, and his OPS and on-base percentage is pretty high still.
Yeah, I don't know. I would have put some other players in front of him, but
like Mookie Betts.
Yeah, but Mookie Betts hasn't even had a great season either. So if we were actually voting, I wouldn't have started Mookie Betts either, because Mookie Betts has kind of struggled at the beginning of the season. He's kind of picked up since then. So, and I thought Mookie Betts was kind of close to starting as well. Mm-hmm. So it's that name recognition of former MVPs, and
that's what happens when you put voting in the hands of fans.
Fans first.
They're gonna vote for their favorite players at the end of the day, no matter how they're performing, really.
Yeah.
And then you get the segment of people that does vote genuinely on who they think's the best, but you compare that to the percentage of people that just pick their favorite player, and it's pretty minuscule.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, it's interesting, and I don't know. The NBA does something similar. The fans vote for the top 5, basically, for the starting 5. But media votes are also counted, and there are different percentages. So the fans actually have almost no say in the reserves. The reserves are all media, owners, and players.
Which is a fair twist to it.
Yeah, and even you've seen in the NBA, Joel Embiid, before he kind of became the center he is, was really pushing to make the All-Star game, because he had this whole joke of Rihanna said he wouldn't date him until he became an All-Star.
I remember that.
Yeah, so he made this whole deal about becoming an All-Star. He got second most votes out of anyone.
Because he campaigned for it.
He did not make the All-Star team that year.
Okay.
And Derrick Rose, there was a similar campaign for him this year, and Luka Doncic of the Mavericks, they both had similar big fan campaigns where they were in the top 5, 6 of vote getters. They didn't even make the reserves. So to me, that seems fair, because it seems like the NBA is factoring in who's having a good season at this point.
What was initially intended for an All-Star game is to put the highest performing players of the first half of the season.
To reward them. There's a monetary reward involved, recognition.
There's a proudness, too.
You got to represent your club. It definitely helps. And I think with MLB, no one would watch the All-Star game if Mike Trout doesn't start. No one would watch the All-Star game, and that's their problem. The NBA has so many stars and personalities at this current moment. They feel fine leaving one out, because, one, everyone attends All-Star Weekend in the NBA, basically. Mm-hmm. Even though it's a week off, everyone's there. Everyone's there for the dunk contest.
Well, they do a good job of including maybe some people that don't make the actual rosters for the game.
Yeah. And
so include those into the 3-point contest,
Rising Stars
contest,
Challenge,
Skills Challenge. They're smart about that, or they include those people.
And so a lot more people are at All-Star Weekend. With Major League Baseball, it's only those who are involved. There'll be a couple that show up, but it doesn't seem like
it's a vacation for the people that don't make it.
100%. And the NBA turns into such an experience in whatever city they're in. It's a vacation because there are all these parties and there's a lot of fun things going on for the players as well. Major League Baseball just doesn't seem to have that same pull with their players. Mm-hmm. There are more players, the percentages and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a lot more difficult for Major League Baseball. So without further ado, we'll start with the roster
We
is.
said we were going to talk about baseball first, and we still ended up talking about the NBA somehow.
The NBA, yep. Yeah, right on brand. So, all right. So we'll start with the American League. So they'll be coached by genius manager of the Boston Red Sox, Alex Cora. So it seems like every year it's the World Series. I think it's the same thing in... It must be different because Dave Roberts, he's managing the NL team. In the NBA, whoever... So it's usually the team with like the best record going into the All-Star break.
Okay.
But if they were the coach last year, they can't coach again.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
To open the door up for someone else.
So this is Dave Roberts' second straight year coaching it. So that Major League Baseball doesn't do the same thing. So for catcher, on the worst team in Major League Baseball, the New York Yankees.
With like the third best record.
Yeah. Anyways, Gary Sanchez. I think this is a solid choice. He's had a pretty good year so far. I'm not like the in-depth of a lot of teams. I don't know if there's another catcher that I think deserves this spot over him.
Not that I can think of, like in the American League. Right now, his average isn't great. He's batting .262, but he's got 23 home runs with 52 RBIs. So, like, not bad. You know, you want power out of a catcher. Like, usually the catcher's like a power hitter, not so much on base
slot. Yeah.
So I think he does relatively well compared to like the catchers and other teams.
I think so too. The other thing is, what we should consider with a lot of this, as we see the teams' names, excellent marketing campaigns, because this is what it comes down to. How well can you market your team?
Right.
What are you doing to get people to vote for you in different ways? And the Yankees, being one of the most notable franchises in all of sports, has more followers probably. Actually, I did a report on this for a class. They have like the most followers in Major League Baseball across all accounts.
I'm sure they have a lot of more followers than some other top teams in other leagues.
100%. So
other sports.
We should note the Twins currently have the best record in the American League, and they have one player on the starting roster.
Right.
And the Yankees have two, and the Astros and other teams are on there. Where it should be representative of what the league looks like. Like when a team in other leagues are doing really well, they have more players than everyone else. It just seems like people, good marketing campaign and notable names, I think, is the biggest key.
Yeah, I mean, I follow the Angels account, and all they do is tweet about, voting for certain candidates.
Yeah.
So it very much is just like each of these franchises, what sort of campaigns can they run to get their followers to actually vote for their players?
Yeah, and it's not like every player is chosen for the marketing campaign. They choose like 3 because they know that they can't get everyone to vote for everyone.
Because it's just not rational.
When I was a kid, I did vote for every single Red Sox player. So.
I voted for every Angels player. We were not the best, but I was loyal.
I wanted them there. Yeah, so, interesting stuff. I don't love this process. Just reading these names, I feel like some represent the best players, but... so let's just run through the rest of the American League real quick. We'll talk about any notables, and we'll go to National League. So first base, Carlos Santana of the Cleveland Indians. Second base, DJ LeMahieu of the New York Yankees. I'm going to probably butcher this name. Shortstop, Jorge Polanco.
Yeah,
Twins.
I think that sounds right.
All right, sweet. Third baseman, Alex Bregman of the Astros. Outfield, Mike Trout of the Angels. And then the other outfield, George Springer, Astros. Michael Brantley, Astros. Hunter Pence, Rangers, designated hitter. Just to note before we get into National League, the National League manager selects their designated hitter. Since they're playing at American League Park, there will be a designated hitter, and he will select that designated hitter.
And it looks like he hasn't selected that yet based off of the website I'm using.
Yeah, and I'm guessing it'll be a reserve that he chooses. So catcher for the Cubs, Wilson Contreras. First baseman, Freddie Freeman, Atlanta Braves. Second baseman, Ketel Marte, Diamondbacks. Shortstop, Javier Baez, Cubs. Third baseman from your Colorado Rockies, Nolan Arenado. Outfielder reigning MVP, Christian Yelich of the Milwaukee Brewers. Outfielder stud, Ronald Acuna Jr. of the Atlanta Braves. Outfielder from the Los Angeles Dodgers, Cody Bellinger.
You did a really good job there. I think they might recruit you for All-Star Weekend.
Thank you. That's what I was going to send them a tape, just a cassette tape. If you can still make cassette tape.
Very old school.
Yeah. Just so they know I'm legit. So, of note, I think Nolan Arenado for the Rockies, I think that's a great selection. He's been great at third base. He got paid this winter, and he's been great for the Rockies so far. He's a great defensive third baseman. And when we're looking at averages and stuff, we could also consider defensive play as well.
Right.
When these players are getting votes. Christian Yelich, he's having a phenomenal season.
Yeah, he's having just as good of a season as he is last year.
And so is Cody Bellinger. Those are two, your MVPs for National League.
Right. No brainers there for being on the All-Star team.
That 100% makes sense. The National League, I think, makes a little more sense than the American League. At least so far. And it kind of helps that the notable players in the National League are having good years.
Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with it.
That has a lot to do with it as well.
Big market teams that make those big campaigns for their star players, they're the players are actually having all-star worthy seasons. Is that kind of what the argument you're making?
Kind of. And, the Red Sox had a couple players, I think, that were in the top 3. They're not the best team in the world right now, but they've had players that have... I think it's really difficult in this scenario for players who are playing better than their team. Mm-hmm. So Mike Trout is not on a great team right now, but he's still got a starting spot because of his notoriety. And I can't really think of a great example here, but there are probably players from other teams that are doing super well, but because they don't have the name recognition, or their team doesn't have the recognition, they're not going to get in the starting lineup. Mm-hmm. You think of the Tampa Bay Rays, they're second in the AL East. They're a very strong team right now. Their name is not in the starting 9 at the moment. And that's kind of disappointing when they're putting up this great season and their fan base isn't the best. There's news of them moving to Montreal for half the season.
Right.
So they're not in the best franchise set, but the MLB I don't think is rewarding all of their players.
See, I think the way the MLB All-Star Game goes, especially nowadays since it doesn't determine home field advantage for the World Series.
Which I think it should.
I think it should too, but we can get into that in a second.
Yeah.
But I have to disagree with you that you said it doesn't do a fair representation of the other players that deserve recognition.
Uh-huh.
I think this is one of those All-Star games that has a unique way of bringing all of the players that do go to the All-Star weekend into the game. So you see a lot of these starters will only play an inning to 2 innings.
Yeah.
They'll each get an at-bat, and then usually the managers rotate in the reserves. So everyone ends up getting just about the same amount of playing time and gets to be represented, but they just don't get that starting position, title to their name for the weekend. So I think they can still represent a good amount of people during the weekend, but that's only because now they're very much in a setting and atmosphere where they don't have to worry about their league getting home field advantage. Because I don't think that was always the case back in the day. You didn't see those players get rotated as much.
No, but I do when we think about my favorite All-Star games, 15, 16 innings. I don't remember what year that was, but it went 16 something innings. Mm-hmm. Because they were if my team makes it to the World Series,
we want home field
advantage, and so it's a big deal. And I kind of like that. It was competitive all the way through. They're making impressive pitching changes and all these things. It was strategic instead of see how many home runs you can hit in the game. I don't know. I've felt sour about the Major League All-Star Game for a while now. I just don't think it's fun.
I think it definitely becomes more irrelevant now that they take away the prize of giving home field advantage to the winning league's team.
Yeah.
Part of me though understands why you have to give home field advantage to the team with the best record. That to me is the most fair representation.
Okay.
But the cost of that is making a less entertaining All-Star game. So really, if you have to think about the balance of it. Would you rather have a more entertaining All-Star game, or would you rather a team that's worked hard the entire season have the fair prize of having home field advantage in the World Series? Every once in a while you get by coincidence, it would happen that the American League wins the All-Star game, so they get the home field advantage, and then the American League team that goes into the World Series and still ends up having the better record.
Yeah.
But now it's more definitive as which team deserves home field advantage.
Gets it. Yeah, that's fair.
It's fair.
It's fair.
That's the point I'm saying. It's fair, but
and it's almost like a different conversation. It's fair, and everyone's a winner in this instance. But it's not fun to watch. I've not watched the All-Star game the past 3 years.
I haven't either. I haven't even really watched the Home Run Derby.
Okay, I've watched that a bit, but I don't even like how that's structured.
I think they've made it too complicated now. I think it should just be as simple as putting 8 people out there and.
Last year's was fun. Did you watch any of that one?
I didn't.
Bryce Harper came back and won it, and it was in DC, and so that was fun. The crowd was going crazy for him, so that was a fun moment. But I watched 2 innings of the All-Star game, and then I was bored. Mm-hmm. And they did fun stuff, they mic players up in the outfield. So Mookie Betts was mic'd up when he's out in right field, and they're doing interviews out there, and stuff like that is fun. And they do a lot in spring training and stuff like that. Something needs to change, and
I agree.
I don't know, and it's not. Some people listening to this might think I just dislike baseball because they're younger people. They're showing more and more demographics. They're not watching as much baseball. I love baseball. Well, this next topic, I'll talk about how much I love baseball and how cool what the Major League Baseball is doing right now internationally.
Yeah.
And what that's really cool. But this is not a product I want to watch. And although the NBA All-Star Game is no defense, all scoring, it is fun. And I have a lot of fun watching it. And maybe it's a bias because I love basketball a little more. But I don't know.
So I'll speak unbiasedly, or try to show my unbiased there, that I don't watch the NBA All-Star Game either because I don't enjoy the fact that none of the teams play defense. It's not even a contest. It's just alright, we're all going to go out here, nobody play defense, and the score doesn't really matter. We're just going to try and give everybody highlight plays. I'd rather see a competitive game, personally. I think I do try to watch the NBA dunk contest because that's become more fun to watch, because even though they don't get necessarily the biggest name players to do it, which kind of stinks, the young, they have enough young players looking to have that want to be involved in the dunk contest that can provide entertaining dunks that it still makes me want to watch it, and you still get to see new crazy things each year.
Yeah.
Whereas Home Run Derby, it's just
dudes hitting home. It's batting practice.
It's batting practice. So
yeah, I think you're right. And as we're looking at demographics, also with our age and our demographic, is the NBA is a little more just relevant to us. It feels like their halftime acts of the All-Star games are the hottest artists at that time, whereas Major League Baseball it seems like they're it's an alt-rock group that was famous a couple years ago. They're definitely playing to a demographic, but I think that's why we just don't get as much out of their festivities necessarily.
We're not the ones they're targeting.
Yeah, and that might be it. I don't know. The halftime show for the NBA All-Star game was better than the NFL halftime show, in my opinion. They had J. Cole this year, and I'm not even a big J. Cole fan, but it played to the correct audience. Mm-hmm. And we're not trying to solve it, but there really is nothing to solve because it's not necessarily for us, but I think if they want to keep it relevant, something needs to change. I don't know, whether it's voting or...
I agree. I think they need to find, like, some way to do, like, skills challenges, because I love this. I like the skills challenge for the NBA All-Star Weekend.
It was a lot of fun.
So if they could somehow incorporate that into baseball, so, like, having pitchers throw into, like, a special made strike zone where there's, like, certain holes that they have to throw the baseball through that gives them points, or hitters
throwing out runners or something.
Well, and I always think back to, like, this video game I played. It's like the MLB 2006 game on the GameCube.
Okay.
And, like, one of the like extra modes or whatever is you're using any hitter you want, and there's a bunch of, like, targets in the field, and the batters, like, you use the batter to hit, and you have to hit the ball onto different targets and stuff, and you get different points. Like, there's, like, junkyard cars that you have to hit.
Okay.
So just, like, finding a way to make, like, a skill that's used in baseball interesting. So whether it's, like I said, with the pitching thing, where they're able to control their pitches, or for hitting, they're able to control where they hit the ball.
Yeah.
This is just, straight power. They have some sort of contact challenge. Just anything that's different that provides a new challenge.
I 100% agree with you. One idea just kind of came up off the spot here. I don't know if you've ever seen the Beat the Freeze challenge that the Atlanta Braves do.
Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
I love that, yeah.
Do something like that where you throw him out. So he's a runner on first. You throw a pop fly, and he's trying to advance from first to second, and you just, like, something like that where that's a fan favorite attraction. They actually, we'll talk about this in a second, but they brought it to London.
I saw that, yeah.
So obviously fans love it. The MLB loves it. Incorporate stuff like that as a skills challenge, or I know that won't be incredibly exciting. That's part of the baseball I find exciting, like throwing people out, stuff like that, stealing bases. So that's, like, a little different, but I don't know.
I think we're both in agreement that they need to try something new, just to gauge some interest. And they don't necessarily need to go away with anything that they're doing now, but just add, like, an event into the weekend that they've already got scheduled.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So speaking of different, so we talked about they need to do something different. They have done something different. They're in London. In case you didn't know, there's not a London baseball team. And so they...
Or stadium.
Is it a soccer stadium, or was it the Olympics team they're using?
So they were in Wembley, which is just the national stadium.
Okay.
I believe it was definitely used for the Olympics. I don't think it was built with the Olympics.
Because they had, like,
some history to it.
Yeah, like Queen had a famous concert there. Like, it's
Wembley's been there for a while. I can't necessarily give you the exact year, but I think the intention of Wembley itself was just to be a national stadium where the national soccer team and could play.
Yeah. So they turned that into a baseball field, and they invited the biggest rivalry in baseball, arguably, the Red Sox and the Yankees, to play out there.
Historically, I'd agree with you.
Yeah. And they have a lot of history, and especially you notice this internationally, the most popular teams, the teams that are most successful, get the most fans out of there, because it's not necessarily geographical like it is for us for the most part. So a lot of Red Sox Yankee fans over there, and 60,000 people attended a game today in London, and both teams put on
a lot for a baseball game.
Yeah, they put on an offensive show.
Yeah,
offensive showcase. Like, they didn't offend anyone, but it was an
offensive show. There was lots of offense in the game. It finished 17-13 for the Yankees. The Yankees ended up winning. That's crazy.
It was crazy. And a lot of comebacks involved, too. So the Yankees led 6-0 off the bat in the first inning. The Red Sox then answered those 6 right away in the bottom of the first.
Yeah. 12. So it was 12 runs scored in the first inning.
And then
both starting pitchers were taken out.
Yep, and so then 11 runs were scored by the Yankees unanswered through the 7th inning. And then all of a sudden the Red Sox start coming back, and they get all the way up to 13 runs. And they brought a tying run to the plate. Like it was the worst pitching showcase ever, but it was a great offensive showcase, and I think the fans really enjoyed it because it's kind of almost the best part of baseball is offense.
I think for people that aren't necessarily long-term fans of baseball, when they're looking from the outside in, seeing teams hit home runs and score runs is the most exciting part of the game. I think for more tuned fans where they've been watching for more years can appreciate a good pitching duel more.
Yeah.
And so I've got a stat here saying that this is the first regular season MLB game. Oh wait, no, that's not it. First time two teams combined to score 30 or more runs for just the second time in the 109-year rivalry. I know I said the first time. It's the second time that two teams have combined to score 30 runs in this particular rivalry.
Huh.
And
That's
the last
incredible.
time was the Yankees beat the Red Sox 20-11 in 2009. That's great. There's only 2 times that's happened.
Yeah.
To me, this is fishy. I think the MLB has gone to both of these teams saying, hey, we need you guys to put on a show. I'm going to need you guys to throw some hot dogs and some meatballs into the strike zone for the other team to hit. And then after the 7th inning, it's fair game. You guys can go at it. And so I think this was like a stint to just gain more interest for the London fans, or it could be a case of jet lag for the pitchers. Even though I just don't buy that.
I'll go with that one.
I don't
jet
buy that
lag.
though, because they're only 6 hours from the East Coast to England, which is, I mean, I think it's 6 hours from Boston and New York to Colorado.
They probably partied pretty hard. They met like Royals today. It's a big day for everyone. It's hard to keep focused, when you're meeting Prince Harry and his wife. What's her name?
Wife.
Meg Markle?
I don't know. I don't know anything about the royal family.
I thought you would. You like Game of
Just
Thrones?
because
That involves
just because I lived there for 5 months.
Yes, yeah. That's exactly why you should know more about the Royals and hang out with the Royals. A cool thing. So I think it's Meghan Markle. I'm probably gonna get roasted for this. She is actually a distant relative of Mookie Betts of the Boston Red Sox.
Really?
Yeah, like 150 years ago, kind of relative.
Who came up with that?
Some writer was bored over the winter back in 2017 and wrote an article about it. So it's on the Boston Globe, I believe.
Is it fact checked? Is it?
Yeah, it is fact. It's so there's like a disclaimer that they have no physical proof, but they were in the same area with the same last name, and
always what you want to hear for any sort of.
It seems like they came from the same slave trade, basically. So
interesting.
Yeah, I didn't read it too in depth, so some of what I said.
Well, that's a cool bit of knowledge if it is true. I'm just gonna assume it is.
Yeah,
that's
I'm
what
always
you do,
right. So
yeah.
I'm glad you agree with me there.
But going back to the
baseball
game, I think this is a fantastic move by the MLB. I know we've been kind of talking smack about them with the All-Star game, but I think this is a fantastic step forward to try to integrate more fans from different nations and give new perspectives to the game. It's a great opportunity to grow viewership for the sport and introduce it to a new market. What better place to do it in Europe than London? I mean,
that's a perfect spot. And watching the game, they were baseball fans. All 60,000 people were baseball fans, and it was so unique watching them experience it because it's so different than most of their sports there. And they treated it like a Red Sox home game. So in the middle of the 8th inning, they played Sweet Caroline like they do for
Total Classic for Fenway.
Which is, some old heads in baseball don't like it because they didn't always do it. They started in the 2000s or so.
Those guys are almost dead anyways.
People complain about everything. It's a fun tradition. If you've ever been to Fenway, it's magical because everyone's singing it.
I'm not a Red Sox fan. I don't care about them really at all. Boston's a cool city. I look the people of Boston have a cool connection to the city and to each other. And I think it really shows when they play Sweet Caroline in Fenway.
People are grabbing shoulders, and it's, I think I have a video of the last time I was at Fenway, and it's incredible.
It's awesome.
Everyone instantly stands up and sings, and then I watch people get harassed for not singing. It's almost like the national anthem.
Yeah.
You should be standing and singing with the rest of us. It's really cool. So they did that in London. They didn't know all the words, so I'll forgive them for that. There's a lot of missed lyrics, but that was fun. And then Take Me Out to the Ball Game. That was also unique in the broadcast. They showed all of it. Usually they cut to break and you never see it during national broadcasts. But they showed all of it because it was unique to the city and just really cool. They loved it, and it's almost like this is what America should be doing. We should all love baseball this much, because they don't get the luxury of being able to go to these games in summers, and Americans, we all grow up with it. I went to a Rockies game the other day. Baseball's in our blood almost.
It's very affordable too. So there's really not
an excuse
financially to not be able to go to a game.
Because there's so many more. NBA can be cheap, but there's so many of them. NFL is extremely expensive because there's only 16 games and 8 in your home market, not including playoffs. There's 80-something home games for Major League Baseball teams. You have a lot of opportunities to go to a game. So, that's really interesting. It was a fun game. There was a lot of exciting stuff that happens. The Red Sox made it interesting at the end there. They're down 17-6 at one point. They ended up loading the bases and having a game-tying run up there. But Alex Cora made a weird decision. Rafael Devers, the third baseman for the Red Sox, who's been really hot, he pulled them out earlier in the game when they were losing 17-6. And so he was not in his spot where he would have excelled. Instead, they had a guy they've recently called up. So, interesting choice. You have to think, and I'm very much against, a lot of people argue all sports are rigged. They're all rigged for ratings, stuff like that. I'm one of those people who pushes against it. But you have to think the MLB said something to coaches please make this a good game.
That's what I said earlier.
And
you questioned me.
I don't think they were throw, hot dogs and whatever you said at the plate there.
Hot dogs and meatballs.
But I do think
spaghetti sandwich.
Some moves they made, they would not have made at home.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
We've got our tinfoil hats on, and we're protected.
Conspiracy. People were really they were convinced until the Warriors lost this year that the NBA was rigged.
Yeah.
And those people are probably still well, they didn't want the Warriors to be a complete dynasty, so they rigged that too.
Yeah. Well, those people are crazy.
Yeah.
Really.
Everyone has a theory, and they're usually wrong. So just enjoy the sport that we're given, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think an interesting thing that came of this game is Aaron Hicks is the first MLB home run hitter in Europe. That's kind of a weird, cool title to carry. Is I hit the first home run in Europe.
Yeah, I'd put that on my resume for sure. Take that to a job interview. He probably doesn't need to go to job interviews, but
I think he's pretty set.
Yeah, I think he's good.
You're
but
being paid by the Yankees.
Aaron Hicks, just in case. I'll just update your resume and cover letter, just in case. But I do hope that they bring this to other countries. Bring it to.
Didn't they do? They did a Mexico series.
I think so, and every year I think they do a Japan preseason almost.
Yeah.
So they do it in March, but it counts as a regular season game.
Okay.
Yeah, so they did it with the Mariners this year, and that's where Ichiro Suzuki played his last game ever.
That's so cool.
Back in Japan, and that counted for a regular season game. So they always do that, but go to Africa. Yeah. Go all just build stadiums wherever you go. I think that would be really cool. They're probably thinking numbers can we fill a stadium here? But you don't need to build a 60,000 stadium everywhere you go. Mm-hmm. Just grow the sport that way. And it'd be really cool if this impacts international players.
Yeah.
So we see more players, because we see a lot from Japan, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and other countries, but we don't see African, we don't see a ton of those. If they're able to grow the love of the sport there, Because we see NBA gets a good amount from Africa, a good amount of players from Cameroon and other African countries. It'd be really cool to see baseball grow there as well.
Yeah, that's something that I was picking up on when I was watching the game. Is the commentators were kind of talking about that prospect of putting interest to fans in England now and seeing what comes of it. Really trying to get the first English-born player to play in the MLB would be a really cool story to come of what they're doing at this point.
Oh yeah, in his draft interview, I was at the Red Sox-Yankees game in London, and that's when I knew I wanted to pursue baseball as a career. Something like that would be incredible, marketing-wise. That's gold. You can't get anything better. But yeah, super interesting. All right, so I think it's time for our NBA talk. We talked a lot more baseball than we have, I think, in total the past 3 weeks. So we're going to talk some basketball right now.
Really struck out there.
Okay. We're now going to talk about the NBA. So we just talked about the Major League Baseball for about 40 minutes. Now we're going to talk about NBA. We just want to reiterate that we are recording this on Saturday, so we're not just bad at looking up basketball news. So this is before free agency starts. All of this is still technically rumor/tampering. This is not anything official yet. So we're going to be talking about NBA free agency, where players are going to go. We're mostly going to be talking about Kawhi Leonard and Kevin Durant, because they have the biggest question marks. Mm-hmm. So it seems like for sure, based on tampering and other things that really aren't supposed to be happening right now, it seems like Kemba Walker is going to sign with Boston. It was reported by Adrian Wojnarowski that he was going to be in Boston on tomorrow to sign.
To finalize.
So, and he can't actually sign till July 6th. It's a whole bunch of nonsense, but it's basically him saying, I'm going to sign on July 6th. That's what he's signing.
He's signing a piece of paper to say, I'll sign another piece of paper
on July 6th. Yep. And Kyrie Irving, it looks like he's going to sign the max in Brooklyn. There's some rumors regarding Kevin Durant going there as well, but it seems like for sure he's going to Brooklyn Nets.
Kyrie is.
Yeah. There's a big question mark about the Lakers. There's a big question mark about the Knicks as well, but it seems like he's going to sign with the Brooklyn Nets. Mm-hmm. Almost for sure. Klay Thompson was offered the Supermax from the Warriors because he's been at the Warriors. He was an All-NBA player. He's able to get more money.
Right. 5 years, $190 million. That's crazy.
That's crazy. It's just change for me, but yeah. So he will probably sign there. I don't know why you would sign. That's the whole thing with these Supermax eligibilities. You were able to get a lot more money. That's why people were shocked at Kemba Walker. So Kemba Walker made an All-NBA team this year, which means he was also eligible for the Supermax. And the Hornets and Michael Jordan would not give it to him. And that's why he left. To me, that's dumb. That's your best player. Pay your best player and worry about the rest. So, interesting tactic there. But the biggest thing that came out today is Saturday, was that Kawhi Leonard and Kevin Durant reportedly want to play on the same team together. Now, we should all take this with a grain of salt because they are very expensive players, so there's only a few teams that could actually make that happen at this point in time. And those are two teams. One of those teams were very much on Kawhi Leonard's radar, but I don't know if they were on Kevin Durant's radar. The other one I think was on one, but not the others. It really doesn't make sense. I don't think they'll end up on the same team.
I don't think so either. Just to clarify, those two teams are the Los Angeles Clippers and the New York Knicks.
Yep.
I think they're just talking to just see it, hey, if this could happen,
what would you be willing to go here, sort of thing?
Yeah.
And
I don't think the stars are going to align for this one.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Something big would need to happen, I guess. And it really has to be a selfless move for one of the players. Because it seems like Kawhi definitely wants to be in Los Angeles, and it seems like Kevin Durant wants to be in a bigger market. Kind of. Kevin Durant is, to me, the biggest question mark in all of this.
It just throws a wrench into things that he's going to be out for the entire season next season.
Yeah, and the Knicks aren't going to be good next season. The Clippers could be But, yeah, that's a big question mark. Do you know the 5 teams that are interested in Kevin Durant right now? Or that he's, meeting with, supposedly, on Sunday?
So, I believe it's 4 teams, not 5.
Okay.
And it's the Warriors, the Clippers, the Nets, and the Knicks.
Okay. Yeah. Those are not the teams you would expect, at the beginning of the season, either.
I don't think, yeah.
Considering the Celtics were a second choice before we went to the Warriors.
The Lakers were thrown in there at some point.
Yeah. So, to bring the Lakers into this, so Kevin O'Connor, who's an NBA staff writer for TheRinger.com, he tweeted this out earlier. So, a lot of news was made this week, and we actually talked about it last week, about how the Lakers were somehow going to get Anthony Davis to kick his $4 million trade bonus, and the Pelicans willing to sign at a later date so they could sign another max player.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they did all that, and they still don't have a max. So just for clarification, they cannot offer a third player a max contract. Because technically, Anthony Davis and LeBron James are also max players, so that counts in luxury tax, all that stuff. So the Los Angeles Lakers, this is according to Kevin O'Connor, the Los Angeles Lakers will currently enter free agency $587,000 short of the full contract space, $32.7 million. This means, unless more space is created, the Lakers can offer Kawhi Leonard or another max free agent 4 years, $138.3 million, while other teams can offer $140.8 million.
Which, I mean, when you're making that much money, probably doesn't seem like that much of a difference.
And in my opinion, Kawhi Leonard is that kind of player that'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
Kawhi is currently making $21 million.
Right, so it's still going to be.
So it's still going to be a pay raise for him. I don't know. It seemed like they were going to get Kemba, and so the fact that they lost out on Kemba makes me think they're going to go all in on Kawhi. Kawhi is meeting with 3 teams: Lakers, Clippers, and Raptors, I believe.
I had the Knicks in there too.
You have the Knicks in there too. Okay.
I thought I could be wrong, but
yeah, and maybe people are just throwing it in there because of the Kawhi and Kevin Durant rumors, and just because of money reasons, those 2 teams are eligible. I don't know. I don't remember seeing them earlier, but things changed in a blink of an eye, so that could have been late news. So
I'm gonna stand by my original take of I think Kawhi goes to the Clippers or to the Lakers, and I said the Lakers was contingent on if they could get that max freed up, and if Anthony Davis would waive his $4 million bonus. And I mentioned, I was like, Davis would be dumb to just throw away $4 million. Well, he did it, so that shocked me. So anything at this point to me is feasible. So
yeah.
I think even though it's not technically enough to be a max contract that they can offer to Kawhi, at this point, I think the Lakers are very much in the race.
100%. Yeah. Credit to Rob Pelinka. He made some dumb decisions in the past, but he had a pretty good offseason, depending how involved he's actually been with this. We assume, because of his role, that he's been really involved with this. I think he's made excellent moves. And my gut is telling me, it's whispering in my ear right now, it is telling me that Kawhi Leonard is going to sign up the Lakers. Mm-hmm. I just have this weird feeling. And when we think about that, that is scary. I was kind of soft on the Lakers. I was like, Anthony Davis, LeBron, anyone can still beat them. You had a defensive two-way player like Kawhi Leonard, the whole league changes. Mm-hmm. The Lakers are all of a sudden the team again for the first time since 2010.
They might be at a little bit of a disadvantage when they're playing 3 against 5 because they won't be able to fill out the rest of their roster. But
do they need
realistically, yes, they're gonna have 5 players on the court at all times. So it's just crazy to think that.
Yeah.
They still have Kyle Kuzma too. Like
that's insane. They still have Kyle Kuzma. They probably could sign Rajon Rondo for a veteran minimum. Mm-hmm. They could probably get some other older guards, older centers.
That's what it's going to end up being. They're just going to sign a bunch of older guys that.
But the thing is that's going to be really attractive to these players who've never won an NBA championship.
Right, who are at the end of their
careers, and they're like, all right, I'm going to go here. Like, Karl Malone is one of those. He went to the Lakers to try to get one of those championships as well. It didn't work out for him, but at the end of the career, you won a championship, and you would get paid anything.
Right.
To get to
money's not a thing at that point.
And we could even see players like Isaiah Thomas signing there.
Yeah, I mean, he's got an interesting career path that's continuing. Like, he's basically begging for another chance for a team to pick him up and let him prove himself. I think the Lakers would be more than willing to pick him up for a very minimum contract.
Yeah, the $2 million veteran minimum, and that's, I don't think any of it's guaranteed either, so it doesn't work out. They just cut him, and they cut their losses.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good opportunity for him because then he's in a championship position, and that helps a lot of players' value. Kawhi Leonard's value went up a whole lot because of his NBA playoffs performance.
Yeah.
Isaiah Thomas was valued a lot more. That's why he got in a trade with Kyrie Irving, because he was valued a lot more because of what he had done in the playoffs. Now he's not as valued because he hasn't really had a full season in 2 years now.
Right, just had some health problems.
And he really did not get playing time with the Nuggets, which was kind of disappointing, but the Nuggets were also on a roll, so it's hard to see where he goes. I don't think he'll end up with the Nuggets again. This is just a Celtics fan talking. But he's one of my free agents I'm watching really closely. I would love for him to sign with the Celtics. I've really loved the Celtics summer so far, and I feel like he's loved by the people in Boston. I think he'd be a good six-man off the bench. So you still put like Terry Rozier or someone with Kemba Walker, but he ignites. He's your heat check guy. Mm-hmm. So he comes on and lights it up and gets people going. I don't know. I just don't want the Lakers to be good. That's
well, I'm sorry to say, but I think they might actually be good this year.
We'll see.
Sorry to say it for you. I'm not so sorry about being able to actually enjoy them playing basketball again.
Yeah, at a high level, I think that'll be different.
It's bittersweet for me still, too, because I don't necessarily want LeBron James to succeed. And I think if Kawhi does go to the Lakers and they do become NBA championships, I'm going to hate all the headlines that center... I just presume that they're going to be centered around LeBron instead of Kawhi.
Yep.
And so...
I don't think you're wrong there for sure.
Like in my mind, if Kawhi goes to the Lakers and they win a championship, Kawhi's better than LeBron James. No questions. Unless, of course he gets, like, one of the two gets injured and the other one becomes very prevalent in their playoff and championship run.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I think Kawhi Leonard's going to subvert expectations to sign with Toronto. Like, really, he's such a question mark because you don't know necessarily what he wants.
I don't think he knows what he wants.
I don't think he does either. And his uncle kind of runs his life for him, who's his agent, basically, and manager. And so, I don't know. It was recently announced his former teammate at San Diego State University and High Desert and Serrano High School alum, which I went to, Serrano High School, Jamal Franklin is going to be on the Summer League team with the Raptors. And so he almost seems like the player, like he'd rather be the friend than... And honestly, if he stays with the Raptors, they're still a championship contender because of him.
Absolutely.
He leaves, it's almost like a LeBron Cavs situation. He stays, they're good. He leaves, meh. Mm-hmm. The Lakers and Clippers, he just makes them into a championship contender for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Vegas is already, like, hedging their odds for the Lakers to win the championship because of the rumors of Kawhi possibly going to the Lakers. Like, they're already lowering, like, they're basically saying Lakers are the favorites, and then they're continuing to lower the odds on the Lakers being the favorites.
Wow. Imagine being Kawhi Leonard right now. That must feel pretty good.
Yeah.
Whether or not you care that much about that stuff, I think it's pretty cool. It'll be really interesting to see what happens. And unfortunately, I think Kevin Durant is not as big as a deal as Kawhi Leonard right now. Injuries hurt player value. It's almost like you're an item for sale, and now it's almost used, and especially that
Damaged
injury
goods.
is hard to recover from. We've seen it end careers. Teams are still going to offer him the max because of who he is.
Right.
That's not going to change.
He's earned that respect of being willing, having a team being willing to gamble on what kind of player he's going to come back as.
Yeah. And that's risky, and some teams, that's why not every team is going to. You know, your Hornets aren't going to offer someone a max like that because they can't afford it. If it doesn't work out. Like, if it works out, yay!
It's more risk than it is
reward
at this point.
Yeah.
So
and it won't be instant gratification.
It's very much an like a long-term investment of waiting a year for him to recover, and then, that the state of the team in the second year is very unknown of who's staying and who's going.
Yeah, and these rumors, I think, have grown over time, too. I saw this from Rob Perez at Worldwide Wob on Twitter. It says, it feels like Kawhi has played for every team in the league this past week. I swear I saw a report he was even seen in a Globetrotters jersey juggling apples. And I feel like that perfectly summarizes just free agency. It seems like every reporter has the inside scoop that this player's going there.
Right.
But
in the hopes that they're right and become like the next guru.
And Adrian Wojnarowski almost has a perfect record, and so his words have been spread more than anyone else's. But 6 p.m. Eastern, we could all be proven wrong. Kyrie Irving could re-sign with the Celtics. Kemba Walker could go to the Lakers.
They will have to eat a sock.
I will have. I kind of forgot about that for a second there. Yeah. Thanks for reminding me.
For the listeners that may not have heard, what episode was it?
It was last week's main episode.
Yeah. Nate voluntarily said he would eat a sock if Kyrie Irving re-signed with the Celtics this summer.
It does not look plausible at the moment, but, that can change pretty quickly here. Yeah, we'll see. What's so interesting about the NBA free agency is, one, it's helped the NBA propel into, like, a 24-hour news cycle, which the NFL definitely benefits from. Major League Baseball, not quite anymore, but it's one of those things, like, the season never ends.
Yep.
Because finals, draft, free agency, summer league, then training camp, then the season's here.
Right.
There's like a small gap in August where there's not a lot of talk, but Carmelo Anthony goes to a gym and
puts a hoodie on
and scores a lot of points. I did get scared by an article, and it made no sense to me, but someone was just trying to mess with people. It was an article from 2014. It said the Lakers are offering Carmelo Anthony a max 4-year, $95 million contract. And someone just quote tweeted it and said, wow, I can't believe they would do this. And I was like, no.
Just absolute clickbait.
And it was right after they cleared the cap space for a max. I was like, why wouldn't they go after all these? And Carmelo Anthony will be a Laker if Kawhi Leonard is there, I think.
You think so?
Yeah.
For the veteran minimum?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
he doesn't need the money. He's getting paid from like 4 different teams at the moment.
He wants the ring for sure, but is he willing to come off the bench, I think, is the biggest question.
Hopefully this year not playing humbled him. You would hope it would.
Right.
That he's now, like, begging, people are saying that he got replaced off the banana boat crew, which is, if anyone's not aware of that, there's a famous picture, I believe it's LeBron, Chris Paul, Dwayne Wade, and Carmelo Anthony all sitting on a banana boat in some tropical island all together. Now, Russell Westbrook is in that crew instead of Carmelo.
Okay.
So maybe he wants back into the banana boat crew and is like, I would appeal for you. Or maybe he's looking to be appealing to the Lakers. The second one worked. It worked. You just made that strikeout joke earlier, and you're judging my banana pun.
That was gold.
Yeah, my banana is yellow, and that's close to the color gold.
You better split while you can, man.
Yeah, I don't have anything. That was a good one. Yeah. But I made the joke first. Like, peeling is better than split. Like, we're talking split is like an ice cream involving a banana. Banana split.
And you're saying a banana peel by itself is better than a banana split sundae?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying the pun is more accurate to the banana itself.
Apples and oranges.
Apple time. Do you have anything else you want to add about NBA free agency before we wrap up today's show?
No, I think that's pretty much it for right now. Like Nate said, we're recording this on, what is it, Saturday?
Yeah. Late Saturday.
Yeah, we're a little tired. That's why the content's a little crazy at the end here. But I think that's it for right now. We'll see in the coming days, as things become more finalized, and hopefully be able to talk about things that happen and are finalized in the next episode where we talk basketball.
Yeah, and they will be by then most likely, so we'll see you guys then. Just a reminder, for those of you still listening, Thursday we have a bonus episode with Holly Lind. She'll be talking Olympics and more. Griffin and I, we really wanted to talk about Olympics, but we are not experts, and you will be able to tell that from the get-go. Holly helps fill those gaps in knowledge as we have, so stay tuned for that one on Thursday. That'll be a really fun episode. And follow us on social media. We're Nate's Notes. Nate's is the @ for all of our social medias. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We have fun videos, graphics. We'll probably do other stuff with it eventually, but right now, that's what we do. We'll maybe do a live stream or something in the future, but stay tuned for that. And if you have any suggestions for special guests, topics, anything like that, send an email to us at natesnotespodcast@gmail.com. Yeah, thank you so much for listening to this week's show. We will see you on Thursday. So I know the show really did end right there, but I just wanted to give a quick post note here. This is after we have recorded. I'm recording this on a very much different day. But today, the day in which this episode is being released, July 2nd, is my co-host, Griffin Schuler's birthday. So I just wanted to wish him a happy birthday. And I hope he has a wonderful day. He's a great co-host and a better person. And it's been a lot of fun doing these shows with him this is our 4th week now. So just wish him a happy birthday. If you want to wish him a happy birthday, head on over to our social media pages, and you can wish him a happy birthday there. I hope he has a great day. And yeah, stay tuned for the next episode on Thursday.